Good morning, all. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
Yes, I
thanks.
can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Okay, brilliant. All right. So, everybody is very much welcome this afternoon. You're welcome to our Settlement Support Health Alert webinar series this afternoon. Today's topic is going to be mental health among immigrants. Is it a disease of Western world or evil spirits? And our session is going to be held by Dr. Oluwatosin. Our session is going to be held by Dr. Oluwatosin Awoyemi, who is a general practitioner and worked in the Coventry and Nuneaton and also Warwick University hospitals, and also is a clinical tutor. So in a few moments' time, I'll be introducing Dr. Oluwatosin, and he'll be carrying on the presentation for today. But before we do that, we want to go through and introduce, for those of you who are participating in this webinar for the first time, what settlement support is, what we do, and who we are. So Settlement Support is a community interest company based here in the West Midlands of the United Kingdom, and we are focusing on providing settlement and integration support services for Africans and other disadvantaged migrants within the United Kingdom. A summary of our services for settlement support includes, but they are not limited to, the below. So we provide immigrant advocacy services, where we come in and we support individuals who have just arrived in the country or have been in the United Kingdom for a while, who are needing support in accessing some local services. We support that by providing advocacy services whenever they find themselves in a situation where they need that. We also provide settlement and integration services. So these are the kind of services that we provide where an individual is arrived in the United Kingdom in the last few years. They need support to settle. They basically have got some needs to understand the system. They want to understand how to access their benefits. They want to understand how to access the services within their community. They want to understand how to engage with their community. This is another service that we provide. So we provide settlement and integration services. We also provide collaboration with local council services. So there are many services out there that is already being provided within our local communities or our local councils. And what we do in this area is we signpost people to those local services or local council services. We try and provide resource people who are able to explain how the process works, how the system can benefit them, and how to access those services. We are also into raising awareness to government agenda. So there are a number of agenda or particular programs that are aimed to migrant communities to support their integration into the United Kingdom. What we do is we raise awareness of these programs within our community to make sure that we can make the best out of that program that has been put out by the government. We also help in breaking barriers to employment, and the way we do that is provide resources who come in to support areas like CV writing, preparing for an interview, areas of what to say when you go into an interview and what not to say. What do you have to do if you are an immigrant? How do you assess yourself? How do you see yourself? How are you seen in the workplace? And what is it that you have to do to improve your chances of being successful within the employment that you find yourself? So by doing that, that is what we do in the area of breaking barriers to employment. We also provide, encourage the take-up of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in the next few slides that I'll go through. But again, we are passionate about STEM, and we want to support the uptake of STEM within the minority communities as well. We empower through education. Our webinar series are part of those empowerment sessions, and today we are having one of these webinar series. Today we are focusing again on health. This is the second health web alert that we've had. We've had some in the past, and this is the second one, but it's the first of the year 2022. So we are excited for it, and we're looking forward to what we're going to be discussing on today's session. And finally, we help in the enablement of projects to support Africa. A lot of minority communities within the United Kingdom have got African and Caribbean backgrounds, and what we do is we provide services, or we support the enablement of projects, either by collaborating with other similar organizations who are providing similar services in Africa, or we kind of support in the uptake or the actual initiation of project within Africa. So these are a few, but not limited to, some of the services that we provide as settlement support. One thing that we wanted to highlight today is our recent publication and our recent announcement about the successes the organization is chunked within Amazon. We've got a number of representatives here who work in Amazon, and essentially one of those is being one of our founders, in the person of Byron Taylor, that most of you have met in the past. I think his efforts and the efforts of the organization Settlement Support is being recognized within Amazon. And on the 28th of March 2022, Amazon released that news article about the support that we're providing in the community. And it's titled Byron Taylor Helps New Resident in His Local Area. But then when you go through the article, you see the mention of settlement support and what settlement support is doing within this area. Lastly, we want to mention our collaboration or forthcoming collaboration with a university, Coventry University, and particularly with the Faculty of Engineering, Environment and Computing. So essentially, we are wanting to sign a collaboration or a memorandum of understanding with the Faculty of Engineering, and that process is already begun. There's been a number of meetings between ourselves and Coventry University within this area, and they are pretty much happy to be on board. So we are looking forward to they finally signing that memorandum of understanding. But this is a huge area in terms of what we're wanting to do around STEM. The idea really is that we're wanting to link in with Coventry University and provide opportunities for brilliant young women coming from the continent of Africa to gain access into the engineering department of Coventry University. They are excited about it. They've already started supporting us by pointing us to other similar organizations that settlement support can liaise with and also benefit. And we do have a number of programs in this area. So this is a key area for anyone who is watching for the year 2022 in terms of our collaboration with Coventry University. And then finally, I wanted to highlight settlement support, CIC Youth Champions. So essentially, we've got a number of youth champions within us, and we're wanting to broaden this new initiative. There are a number of individuals that we have identified, and we are on the journey to identify additional resources in this area. We want to see youth supporting youth. We want to see youth aspiring to go a little bit further. We want to see youth wanting to do and wanting to achieve their dreams. So the Youth Champion basically is another initiative within the settlement support community interest initiatives, which is primarily targeted towards youth. And we want to see the face of it as being the youth, and we want to see the youth reaching out to other youth and making an impact. It's going to be a similar type of representation, a number of conversations, a number of webinar series, but essentially allowing youth to tackle issues that are confronting youth. And so that's the reason for the Youth Champions. And we just wanted to highlight this area. You're going to be hearing more about the Youth Champions. This is a new area, or is a new initiative, and so it's fairly new, and it's the first time that we're mentioning it on this platform. But we want you to keep notice of that, and watch out for more information in this area. Okay. And finally, we want to introduce our speaker for today. So our topic for today's conversation is mental health among immigrants. Is it a disease of Western world and or evil spirits? So who we've got to come in to support us today, again, I started earlier, is our own doctor who came in the last time, Dr. Oluwatosin Aweyemi, and we're happy to have Dr. come in today and speak on this particular subject. We'll allow Doctor to take over and speak on this area, and then after he's gone through his presentation, we will take questions and then seek to address all the questions that you may have within the next hour and a half as we go through the session. So, Dr. Tosin, you're welcome.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Kofi. Thank you so much for the good work that is being done. And Byron, I'm sure, is behind the camera somewhere. Tosin, thank you so much for all the good work that has been going into settlement support. And I'm very happy to be here right now to give this topic. So I'm just trying to see how I can share my screen. I think you've enabled it now. So, can everybody see my screen now? Okay, that's fine. Let me put it like that. Okay. So thank you, everybody. My name is Olutosin Awuyemi. I'm a practicing GP, and I'm also a very very active person in mental health, in discussing about how people could achieve the best in their lives, and how they can progress in life. We'll be talking about mental health, but we'll be talking in the context of the immigrants and the conceptions, or rather misconceptions, that people have. Before we, as a way of introduction, I wanted to just know, we're not too many on the platform right now, but I wanted to know what are our thoughts about mental health problems. Maybe if anybody just, you can unmute just to be a little bit interactive in the beginning. Don't feel shy. We'll talk about shyness also. What are anybody's thoughts about mental health problems? Anybody can go ahead at all. Anybody can break the ice. Okay. fine. You just keep the thoughts in your minds if nobody's ready to break the ice. But okay, so mental health problems have been very, very stigmatized in our community. You can hear people say that, oh, I have hypertension or I have diabetes, but very, very, very rarely. Okay, someone is commenting on the say someone who is mad. Um, Someone said their own thoughts about someone is mad. Someone says memory loss. If someone loses memory, yeah, that's a mental health problem, which is true. So someone who is mad, someone who has memory loss. I yes, a lot of times the mental health problem is always, especially in our immigrants, someone who is confused. Mm. Especially in our population, we tend to think about mad people as having mental health. Well, mad, because here in the UK, when you use the word mad, it just means you're angry, which in a way is also madness. But yeah, so there's a lot of stigma. You can hear someone say that, oh, I have hypertension, I have diabetes or something. That's quite easy, but it's very, very difficult for someone to just come and say, yeah, I have mental health problem. Because it's quite stigmatized. And why has it been stigmatized, especially among the immigrant population? Is because of the culture. Most times, because of culture, because of culture of how you've been raised. You've been raised to think that when someone has mental health problems, the person has some real bad problems with them, especially talking about family, generational causes, talking about some evil spirits that have actually come to meet the individual. Also, movies. The movies have put mental health problems like it is the only reason why people have mental health problems is due to evil spirits and traditional norms. I I don't know why this is not okay. Yeah. I saw an article. This is an article that was a very nice article, really, by someone from Nigeria. It's in the BMJ, so it's a very good article. It's mental illness and cultural issues in West African films, implications for orthodox practice, psychiatric practice. So it was just saying that they went through a 3-year period of movies that have been made, traditional movies that have been made, and almost 25% of the movies were about mental health issues and how it came about, and everything was about coming from someone offending someone, and because you have offended someone, they send some evil spirits to make the person have mental health problem. Okay, just going on the presentation, my own thoughts about mental health problem was always based on, okay, because I was a medical doctor, you understand, so I knew that mental health problem is not only madness. So when I was in Nigeria, I know that, okay, some people are depressed, some people are anxious, but I always felt that it's just because these people they are not strong. They're not strong. They are just they are very fiddle-minded. That's why they can just be allowing their emotions to be running like that. You get what I'm saying? So from that point of view, so I went, after I left Nigeria, I went to Finland for a master's program. And when I got to Finland, I started seeing people that were depressed. I was like, in this country that they have given you everything you need, and you are depressed, you people, you don't know anything. And I'll be kind of like be insulting them. They are not serious people. Those are the kind of thoughts that comes to my mind when someone has a mental health problem. You have house, you have money, you have food, you have everything, and you are still having mental health problem. Go and meet people in Nigeria. You people, you are not you're not grateful people. Go and see people in Nigeria, and you will know that you're supposed to be happy every time. You're supposed to be happy, and that was the kind of mentality I had, and even that mentality still stayed with me up till when I became a general practitioner, a GP, and I started to see that, wow, this is actually a big problem. It's actually a big problem. It's a massive problem. Look at the statistics from mind.org.uk. It said that it is actually a big problem. 25% of the population, 25% of the population has one mental health disease or the other. 25%. That is one in 4 people have a mental health problem. So I think we are about 12 or so on the platform now. So about 3 of us here would probably be having one kind of mental health problem or the other. Now, it can be denied or not denied. Yes, it can be denied or someone is adapting to it. Now, look at this again from the BAME website. It says Black men are more likely to have experienced a psychotic disorder in the last year than white men. Because we used to think that it's just white people that always have depression. It's not. In fact, the statistics says that Black people are 4 times more. Can you see that? 4 times more likely to be detained under the Mental Health Act than other races. So, I said that about 3 people here on the platform, but because we are Black, that number might be high, but let's leave it there. Let's just leave it at that. So I used to think that, I'm from Nigeria, there's no mental health problem. But after some time, when I started to go and started to think about mental health in more details of what it is, I started to remember things in Nigeria. I say, wow, many people have mental problems back at home. You understand? When you see someone just driving normally, I think we discussed it when we had a meeting with Kofi and Tosin. See someone driving normally and someone else is driving and just start shouting on top of his voice and become very angry. And some people that are just walking by, it's not their business, just comes up and start removing their clothes and start fighting too. And we'll just see that it's normal, he just got angry. But there is a fine line between anger and madness. And that is why here they call it, I'm getting mad, when you start getting angry. Okay. What is mental health? Everybody has a lot of definition about mental health. So mental health itself, mental health is a good thing. Everybody has mental health. Do you get what I'm saying? Everybody has mental health. So it could be, your mental health could be good or your mental health could be poor. I wouldn't say bad. Your mental health could be good or your mental health could be poor. So mental health refers to our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. Our mental health affects how we think, how we feel and act. It also impacts on how we cope and interact and form relationship with others, as well as our daily functioning. Now, a lot of people don't know that some people do not know how to relate with people. They just don't know how to relate with people. And they kind of get that problem, even at work. They kind of get problems upon problems at work. And they don't know why. The point is that it might just be referring to a state in the mental health. Because mental health does not just mean, it's how we think, how we feel, how we act, and how we cope. That word cope, I'll come back to it. How we cope and interact with relationship with others, as well as our daily functioning. Okay. Now, I will just let us to understand a bit about what's, okay, sorry, I think some questions, all about how people think, feel, and behave. Okay, someone says about how people think, feel, and behave. Yes, that's true. Okay. What's disorders? Before I go there, I'll first of all define mental health. So There's mental health symptoms. There's something called mental health symptoms, and there's mental health illness. I would like to just quickly give that definition. Now, mental health symptoms, everybody will have some symptoms of mental health at some point or the other. Do you get what I'm saying? Now, for example, when I lost my dad, I was very, very sad. Do you understand what I'm saying? I was very, very sad. I was tearful. I just lacked. I think when they told me that he died, I was at work and I just couldn't continue seeing patients at that point. Do you get what I'm saying? And I was crying and I was sad, more so because I was not there and COVID, we could not fly and all those kind of things. So, do you get what I'm saying? So that state of being overwhelmed is a mental health symptom. Do you understand what I'm saying? Also, when you just get very angry in the spur of the moment, or sometimes something happens like maybe someone committed a fraud and stole like £5,000 from your account. Let's give an example. You just open your bank account, you saw that £5,000 has gone. How would you feel? You feel so. Sometimes some people go and eat the wall. Boom. You understand? So yes, you can experience mental health symptoms from time to time, but mental health illness is when the mental health symptoms last longer than 6 weeks. I use 6 weeks. So DSM, which is another classification, use 2 weeks. When the mental health symptoms last longer than 6 weeks, and it affects a person's day-to-day life and ability to function or socialize. So sometimes you can get angry because someone threw something at you. But when you start getting angry every time, that even when you go to work and you see your boss, you're almost slapping the boss face every time for more than 2 weeks, then that is already a what? Mental health problem. Sorry, mental health illness. Do we understand that? Okay, I'll go back to the causes of mental health disorders. A lot of times, there's actually no cause identified. No cause identified. But let me tell you what causes mental health problem in general. Everything is where? In our minds. And people will say, it's just that person is not strong. But let me just explain this. And I would like you to just follow me. The mind is a complex machine which runs several chemicals. It is chemicals that actually makes us what? Do whatever we do. Very important chemicals are serotonin and dopamine. When there is an imbalance between serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphins, these major four, that is when there is what? Mental health problem. Now, some people have naturally low amounts of serotonin. And when they have serotonin is the, I will explain what serotonin and dopamine does very soon. But when some people have that low level of serotonin, that is when people get into something we call depression. Now, let me give you some examples from life. Okay, our mind is a factory, and we stimulate chemicals. That's what controls our behaviors. Now, dopamine. These are the happy chemicals. Dopamine is one of the happy chemicals, but too much dopamine is not good. Now, dopamine gives you motivation and pleasure, extreme pleasure, but it does not think about the consequence. And these things are true. Let me tell you why it's true. Because I can actually inject dopamine into you, and you will just be very, 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 very motivated. This is what cocaine does. Cocaine. How many people know what cocaine is? Cocaine, the drug, when you sniff cocaine, what it does is that it increases the amount of dopamine in the brain. And then the person becomes very, very courageous and can do high-risk things. And the person is in a state of euphoria. He's so happy and glad and motivated. Sometimes he will feel like, I am God. Do you get what I'm saying? That's dopamine. Naturally, cocaine in itself is not the substance that will do it. It's actually the dopamine in our own brain. All that cocaine does is that it increases the amount of dopamine. So it is possible for someone to get to a state where there's so much dopamine without cocaine. Do you understand what I'm saying? The brain is just producing a lot of cocaine, dopamine without cocaine. It's just producing a lot of dopamine. Do you know what the person will have? The person will have schizophrenia, which is when you say someone is mad. Do you understand that? Now, cocaine can induce it, but if you just allow dopamine to just in your brain, you just be full. Now, in our natural in our natural life, without cocaine, I'll tell you, and that thing that produces dopamine so fast. One that is very, very is what's the name? Facebook. Googling. Facebook, Instagram, it produces dopamine. You just get, and that is why you now get addicted to it. It's a dopaminergic activity. And that thing, I think they are adults here, isn't it? I don't think there's any. So sex, just before sex, you see that drive, that and palpitations and everything, that the person doesn't think about any other thing that might be happening around. Do you get what I'm saying? That is a dopaminergic effect. So imagine someone that is just has so much dopamine that's always like that. Going on. That is where we say someone is mad. The mad we talk about schizophrenia. Serotonin. Serotonin is also a very happy hormone. But what it does is that it gives you a feeling of significant importance. It also makes you to accept yourself. It also makes you to be able to associate with people without feeling what? Inferior. Do you get what I'm saying? So if you have a lot of serotonin effect, you see people with self-confidence. They actually have high serotonin levels. And it's actually something that can actually be initiated in the lab by injecting you with serotonin, by injecting you. So some people use some medicine to enhance their performance. We are talking about enhancing serotonin, dopamine levels. Do you understand what we have said now? Now, these chemicals are actually in our brains. Now, there's this chemical called LSD. How many people know about LSD? LSD is a kind of recreational drug like cocaine. Once you take LSD, you are in a state of euphoria. You just feel like this. And then you start to see visions. You hallucinate. Now, what LSD does, it acts on something called the GABA, the GABAgenic nerves, and it actually releases things that are already in our brains. Now, imagine if someone doesn't use the LSD, and that thing, because of a mental problem, because of a problem, those things are just released on its own. Do you understand what I'm saying? Those are the causes of mental health problems. So mental health problems is actually a disease that is happening in the brain due to neurochemicals. Did everybody hear that? Good. Now, when someone goes to church, and he hears a lot of, God will be for you. God is for you, not against you. You are born to prosper. You are a child of God, and all those kind of things. What is it? What hormone is it secreting? Serotonin, making you have a self of. Do you get what I'm saying? And that is why this man called Karl Marx. How many people have heard about Karl Marx? Karl Marx. The Marxism. He made a statement. He said that religion is the opium of the masses. Have you heard that before? Religion is the opium of the masses. And that is what it says is actually true. Because opium, do you know what opium is? Opium is opioid, where cocaine comes from. Do you get what I'm saying? So when it says it's the opium of the masses, it's because that it gives them that kind of boost. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's why I'm just trying to say that there are a lot of psychological things, there are a lot of spiritual things, there are a lot of different things that can come. Now, let's go back to the causes. Since I've established the chemicals that causes this, there's oxytocin that makes you feel love from your partner, and the oxytocin is what makes people like your children. You understand? When someone have very low of that, they feel detached from their loved ones. Okay, let's not go too much into that. Let's go back. Now, what causes mental disorders? It is actually an imbalance in these hormones. The more balanced, there is a balance. The more balanced these hormones are, the more normal normal someone is. There's no true normal, but the more normal it is. So some people just, for some reason, just have low serotonin, and they just have depression, and they don't know why they are depressed. And to be honest, I've seen this very, very well. Now, genetics. Some people's genetics makes up in family. That is how their own serotonin levels are, or their own dopamine levels are. Maybe they have too much high dopamine levels. That is why we have schizophrenia, can be a family trait. Do you get what I'm saying? Pharmacological. So causes: genetic, pharmacological. Pharmacological means taking cocaine and all this can make someone get mental problems. Once you take cocaine, dopamine, once you experience a high of dopamine, that kind of thing, surge of dopamine, you know, looking at your Facebook can make you very happy, and you can spend hours doing it. Now, or when you are just about to have sex, that kind of. Now, let's all say the feeling of sex or Facebook is about 100. Cocaine can give you to 1,000. And once you reach 1,000, you will never want to drop again in your life. You will never want to drop again to 10. It's not possible, because normally we are all operating for maybe like 15. And it takes you to 1,000. You will never, ever, ever want to come back to 15. Never in your life. Because they will say it feels like heaven. And that is why the addiction comes. Okay. Social. Now, social. Because I said serotonin makes you acceptance. So the way your social ties are very important in boosting or reducing your serotonin levels. Now, that is why we now say anything that can cause the imbalance. Science has not been able to carefully describe it, but this is the point. Anything that can cause the imbalance can cause mental health problems. Childhood abuse, neglect, loneliness, racial discrimination, the way people are raised. You understand? When people are raised in a place where they are not feeling secure, they are feeling always at the edge every time. It always it impacts the serotonin, dopamine growth of individuals. Now, evil spirits. If it's possible for evil spirits to reduce or enhance those mechanisms, then it is also possible. Now, the point is that in our own culture, now I'll say culturally, we like to explain things in things that absolves us of any responsibility or any amount of thinking. So we just resort that, it is due to evil spirits. That's the point. I can't prove that there are no evil spirits. Nobody can prove. You understand? But if there are, there is a concept, and there are some things that happens that you be like, no, this is not normal. Do you get what I'm saying? So if it's evil spirit, it's possible, but the way it happens is what? Through this neurotransmitters. Okay, let's go on. Now, these are 12 mental health symptoms that you should not ignore. As I said, don't think, I am strong. Some people are not strong. That's why they have mental health problems. It's not true. It's not true. It depends on what is happening in your brain. But these are 12, because it's a mental health problem, you would not know that you have mental health problem. Other people might notice and be like, what's going on here? But not everybody will tell you. But these are symptoms that you should not, that you should not ignore. 12 symptoms, 12 mental health symptoms not to ignore. Now, when there's a change in sleep or appetite, a significant change in sleep or appetite that is lasting more than 2 weeks and has started to affect your daily activities. Remember, these are symptoms. Illness is when it's starting to affect you. For example, sometimes I would not sleep, maybe because I'm thinking of something, I want to prepare for something. Do you get what I'm saying? 1-2 days, that's not a problem. But when it's becoming a significant thing, recurrent thing, then you have to start thinking, my mental health problem, my mental health issues, because sleep, appetite are all controlled by this same dopamine serotonin balance. Okay, so sleeping very little and worrying over the night is a sign of serious mental health problem. Or sleeping too much. Sleeping too much is actually one of the determinant facts of of depression. You can actually tell someone has depression when the person is sleeping too much. Now, when we say sleeping too much, it's not that you don't have anything to do and you're sleeping. That's something. Sleeping significantly that is affecting your family life. That is a very important sign of depression. Appetite. Some people they just don't want to eat. They just don't want to eat. That is a sign. And also, when someone is eating too much. Now, when I say too much, you should understand what I mean by too much. It's eating such a way that you're at work and you're looking all around like, hey, it's time to eat. I have to eat. If I don't eat, something will happen. That also is a problem. Withdrawal, isolation, and apathy. When you just withdraw from your social ties and you do not want to associate with anybody, you are very isolated and you don't have any feelings. That's apathy, any feelings towards having anything. That is very, very important. Changes in mood. When someone is just constantly low, nothing cheers them up. If you like, go and buy a car for them. They just look at you like, okay, thank you. Sorry, did I say thank you? As in, they are not amused. Nothing amuses them. Some people are naturally like that. Please don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is a change in what someone is. Do you get what I'm saying? So don't look at every other person and say, oh, this one is like this. It's not everybody. It's a change. Overwhelming anxiety and panic. Obsessive behaviors. Your obsessive behaviors are when you're obsessed over something, you are just something just driving you that you must do it. Now, many people have obsessive behaviors and it's not a problem. Do you get what I'm saying? For example, I'm sure as we have been talking, you would have seen me doing like this throughout my presentation. It's an obsessive behavior. You just want to do that. You understand? But to be honest, it might not really like be a problem for anybody, or you understand. So, but there's some behaviors that we have that are quite obsessive. So some people, theirs is just to to be blinking like this. They just feel that they have to blink. If they don't blink, something will happen. There's one of my friends. He likes putting he puts his hand inside his buttocks. He just scratches it and smells. As in just like a behavior. I like, come on, stop that. Now the point is that some people do it at home when nobody's around. Do you get what I'm saying? But when someone starts to do it and is doing it in public, it becomes an obsessive behavior. Do you understand what I'm saying? Or some people, this is the most common one, going to go and check the door that is locked. Every time you have just finished doing it, you come upstairs and say, is it locked? You go back downstairs. Is it locked? Some people leave their work and go back to check whether the door is locked. Now, the point is that they know it's locked, but they just have the feeling that they have to go back several times. It can happen one or twice. You understand? But when it becomes an obsessive thing that is not affecting your work, hey, something's happening. I have to go and check the door. Going to go and check the car over and over is an obsessive behavior. It's a very important sign. Inability to cope. Your normal day-to-day activities that you normally do, even to get down the stairs and just put breakfast, becomes a big problem. Psychotic symptoms. What psychotic symptoms means is having hallucinations. Do you know what hallucinations are? You are saying things that other people are not saying. One. Number two, you are hearing voices that other people are not hearing. Those are what? Hallucinations. Extreme episodes of anger. Extreme episodes of anger. Thoughts of suicide or hopelessness. That's a red flag. Confused thinking or reduced ability to concentrate. Confused thinking or reduced ability to concentrate. Those are very, very important signs not to ignore. And please, I'm enjoying everybody. Don't ignore. Change in libido. No interest in sexual activities at all. There are other things that causes it. People have some erectile dysfunction, but the not being interested at all is actually a sign of mental health. And also, too much of it, excessive, also could be a sign. But the point is that changing in libido, not wanting at all, is actually a sign of reduced dopamine in the brain, dopaminergic effect, and it's quite important. Listen, causes a lot of marital strain. Someone just say, "Hey, why? Don't you like me again? Don't you like me?" But you don't know that this person actually has a mental health problem. Okay, next. What's the peculiarity of mental health to immigrants? Number one is loneliness. You come from a place where you are where you are socially adapted, and you come to a place where you are living alone in a cold, wintry place, and everywhere is dark. And you just have to go to work. Where you are working, you have no person to talk to, and then you come back home, and then you go and you now get bored of that kind of things. That can actually reduce one's serotonin levels and imbalance in their dopaminergic activities. Culture shock. When you are used to a particular way of life, I won't explain most of these things. You are exposed to a particular kind of life, and then you are seeing another kind of life, and you're having conflict, culture conflict. That what am I doing? I start to doubt yourself, and doubt becomes worry, and worry becomes depression due to reduction in the chemical balance. Racism and fear of it. There are sometimes actual racism in workplace, and there are sometimes it's just you are actually the one fearing that they're actually being racist. Do you get what I'm saying? Either way, that can actually, if you don't check it on time, that feeling can actually bring overworking. Overworking is a problem when people take up several shifts, several this thing, thinking that that's all that needs for life. That is very peculiar to immigrants, taking up overworking oneself and not having time for teratogenic boosting activities. Working over laboring oneself reduces one's serotonin levels. There are other things that increases your serotonin levels. Anxiety over family back at home. You see, immigrants are here. They are thinking, my family, there's kidnapping, there's war, there's no fuel, there's this, there's that, and you're worrying and worrying, and also trying to make ends meet and low social economic status. You are earning quite low, and you are thinking of how you pay the bills. Fuel is now expensive. The gas eating is now double the price of what you paid 2 years ago, and all those kind of things are peculiarities to immigrants. These are some of the mental health illnesses that there are. I'll not spend more time on it. Anybody that wants to ask questions about this, then I will do that at the end. Okay. I'm not even sure how many minutes I've spent now. That's 3 o'clock. Okay, that's fine. So anxiety disorders. Anxiety disorders is something that many people have, but they don't know. Anxiety disorder is one of the most common. Now, there are some times you get anxious. For example, you want to give a speech, you want to climb the stage. Many people are stage shy, and they are very anxious, sweating on the palm, the heart beating very fast, and all those kind of things. Some people are like that for specific things, but there are some people that are like that all the time. Even when they meet new people, they are anxious. Now, I want you to think about what anxiety is. When we were little, we had a dog in front of our house. His name was called Ruby. It was one of the most ferocious dogs. And one day they always tie him keep him in a cage. One day I was crossing that place and I did not know that he was not in the cage. Oh my God. And the dog started to charge at me. Just imagine when a dog is chasing you and you have your heart beating very, very fast, and you are sweating and you are very, very on the edge. Do we know that feeling? Now, imagine someone having that feeling every day, throughout the day. Throughout the day. When they meet someone, they're having that feeling. When someone calls them, they're having that feeling. That is what is called an anxiety disorder. When that person has that feeling constantly throughout the day, to be honest, it's a very, very bad disease, because they're just in that constant state of fright. Behavioral and emotional disorders in children. Now, there are some children that have personality disorders and behavioral problems. I'm sure you know all the spectrum of autism, isn't it? Autism and all the problems it comes. Some people say, it's because you not train your children well. That is why. Let me tell you something. There are some people that are autistic. There's nothing you can do about the training. No matter if you are the best parents in the world, they really have behavioral problems. However, poor upbringing can also cause emotional problems in children. Do you get what I'm saying? There are two ways to it. You understand? So there are two ways to it. Why? Because emotional intelligence is something you teach your children as they grow up. And emotional intelligence is all about how you can train your body as a factory to produce the happy hormones at the right time. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if you know that cocaine can actually put you to a place of ecstasy, it means that your body has the ability to put you in a place of ecstasy. Now, this is the point. There are sometimes that something is annoying you, and you know when you are getting angry. You know when you are getting angry. That's dopamine coming up. You know, and you know. There are sometimes you tell yourself, Tosin, stop. And you do, what are you doing? You are controlling those hormones, those chemicals. Now, children can be taught by good upbringing to control their chemicals. And there are some children that they are not taught and they just run wild. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's what I want to say. Behavioral, there are some genetic problems that's how the child is. And there are some, it is due to upbringing. Depression. How many people have lost someone very dear to them before? Hello? How many people have lost anybody dear to them before in the past? I lost my dad last year, and it was very, very sad. You know, I was it took all the energy and life out of me. Now, imagine being in that position every day. That is what depression is. Now, bipolar affective disorder. That is, bipolar means two sides. Now, in bipolar, these people, they intermittently, they go from being very, very depressed one day to being very, 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 very happy. When I say very, very, very happy, it's not just being happy. These people, they can actually believe that they are God, or they can believe that they are the president of United States. Then they can take all their credit card and go to the shop and spend all their money just one day. And they have so much energy, they can clean the house like 20,000 times over and over, and they won't sleep. Too much energy. That's bipolar. Dissociation. Have you ever had the feeling that you are not actually yourself? Like you are away from reality. People that have dissociative disorders, they are like this, but they feel like they are actually in a movie. They feel like they are not themselves. They feel like they are away. They feel like they can see themselves apart from themselves. That might quite difficult to explain for someone that has not had it before. But there are some people who have dissociation. Immediately I explain that, they understand exactly what I'm saying. Eating disorders. That is eating too much. The most dangerous one is anorexia nervosa. When you constantly start being sick so that you don't get fat and you don't eat at all. They eat nothing. Some actually eat. Some make sure that they for days they won't eat any food and they become very slim. Let's leave it. Obsessive compulsive disorder. I've explained that before. Personality disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder is people that have experienced something very, very, very traumatic in their life. And because of that, they relieve the experience. Someone was probably raped when they were young. And anytime she goes out and she just sees a man, she experiences that trauma again as if it's happening right now. And it's a very, 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 very bad state to be. Schizophrenia is what we call in our own culture mad. Someone is what? Mad. Do you understand what I'm saying? Someone is mad. It's actually schizophrenia you're talking about. In schizophrenia, the person has lost touch with reality. So now he's hallucinating. He can see things, he can hear things. He has a strong delusion. A delusion means that he feels that someone is out to get him. Maybe someone from the television is talking to him. Or he goes out and he sees two people talking and he can hear them talking about him, saying bad things about him. And then he's very, very angry. You know what I'm saying? So that's schizophrenia. What are the effects of mental health? The effects of mental health are quite bad. First is physical health neglect. People that have mental health illnesses, most of the mental health illnesses, they neglect themselves. Don't take their bath, don't get ready, don't You understand? Very poor hygiene, poor teeth. They don't look after themselves at all. Which is quite a bad thing. And it's a common cause of divorce. Some people, they don't realize that their partners actually has a mental health problem. And they just think that, this is not how you have been before. This is not how you were before. And they just start fighting. Why can't you do this? Why can't you do this? Why do you do this? Look at you. You're not even taking care of yourself. Look how dirty you look like. Oh, you're not even thinking about progressing in your life. Look how you look like. And that becomes a problem. But you don't really understand that this person is actually sick. But the person also doesn't know. So the person starts being defensive about it. And there's an article saying that it's one of the most common cause of divorce. It's going to be afterwards that the person will now realize that, okay, this guy actually has a problem, actually has a mental health problem, which could be treated. Loss of friends, social ties, loss of employment and finance, drug abuse, risky behaviors. People can take a lot of risky behaviors when they are schizophrenic, for example. Then suicide. Suicide is, you just hear suicide. There is suicide. Oh, nobody. People are really dying of suicide. So my last patient that died of suicide was 2 months ago. 36-year-old, very, 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 very yappy guy, very, very talkative guy. He kept saying that he was depressed. You say, you're depressed. Okay, give you antidepressants and all that. And one day he called one of my registrars, and she was saying, and that one said, okay, that one even did a very good job and got the crisis team involved and everything. But he told those ones that they should not worry. And the mental health service is not really that good, even here in the UK. And he died. What did he do? I think he hung himself. They found him in non-eating. He found himself just hung himself. It's very, very important. Look at the statistics I saw on mind.org.uk. See, the suicide rate in UK alone, and which, to be honest, UK is actually low compared to America. The suicide rate in the UK is 11.2 deaths per 100,000 population. And I did the math. It means that 16 people will commit suicide today. 16 people will commit suicide today. And we should not neglect. Once we start noticing those symptoms I said, we should not ignore. Let's not take it for granted. What can be done? Before mental health illness, that is when just mental health symptoms, maybe something happens, the death of your family, something happens, you lost your job, you did this, activities that can naturally reduce one's serotonin or reduce the balance in the dopamine, endorphin, and oxytocin mechanism. When those type of things happen, one should be resilient. You should develop skills to be resilient, to be able to address problems without being overwhelmed. And this skill should you should think of ways of teaching children how to be resilient. Very close-knit family and circle of friends are very important in addressing mental health illness. Now, please, I want to make a difference between mental health illness and mental health symptoms. It's when it's just a symptom. That's when I'm talking about religious communities or motivational organizations. Religious communities are very, very good. And that is the way many people in our own culture in Nigeria actually copes with their mental health. That's why you see churches everywhere. It is a very, very important structure. If there were no religious activities in Nigeria, oh my God, people will be suiciding every day. Because, as I said, Karl Marx said what? Religion is what? The opium of the masses. It also depends on which kind of religion you have, or your perception about your religion. Some people feel that God is witch hunting them and is going to kill them with whatever thing they do. Those kind of people will worsen their own mental state. Do you get what I'm saying? But some religious activities that makes you reaffirm your identity, makes you accept yourself, and makes you have hope. You understand? Those are the things that are very good. Motivational organizations, very, very good motivational books are out there to help one. Meditations and affirmations. Meditations and affirmations are very, very important. Meditations, I would like to, in religious setting, prayers, praying. I'm not preaching spirituality. I'm only saying that these kind of things, they are all serotonergic activities. Even people that do not believe in God, they still practice meditations. What's meditation? Just being so calm, shutting one's eyes, and try to be away from this time. What are they trying to do in meditations? I've read into meditations and affirmations and the use of psychoactive substance in worship. Very, very important part. It's a different world. You understand? So when you are doing, when you are meditating, when you close your eyes and you just taking deep breaths and saying, what are you doing? You're actually releasing a lot of serotonin. You are creating those happy hormones, and it's quite important. It's quite it works for people. Affirmations are writing statements about yourself, positive statement about yourself, and saying it to yourself over and over and over again. People use this a lot. Elon Musk does not believe in God. He uses it. Christians use it. I'm sure Muslims use it. You understand? Christians, there will be certain scriptures. You say, put those scriptures in your head and quote the scriptures, quote the scriptures, put in your head. They are all what? Serotonergic what? Activities. Exercise, good health, and good diet, lifestyle. When you are exercising yourself, you are boosting those hormones. You are being confident. When you have a good shape, a good look, it's also serotonergic. It boosts confidence, which serotonin does. Remember, I'm just trying to link everything back to what the cause is. Be involved in groups and contribute to the society, like this Settlement Support UK. It's a very, very good group to get involved in, because when you give a feeling of contributing to society, it boosts your own serotonin levels. Now, I'm saying all this before mental health illness. Now, if someone has a mental health illness, as I have been saying, that is, these symptoms have lasted more than 2 weeks, and you probably need medications. You probably need professional counseling or intense psychotherapy. You probably need an expert help, and do not neglect it. Now, I'm saying all this because of our culture. Say, does it mean that this doctor does not believe that God can do everything? Let me tell you something. I believe that God can do everything. However, there are some medication, there are some illnesses you get to that you actually need treatment, like schizophrenia. You actually need treatment. You don't need to be, there's a lot of places in Nigeria, they put them up, they tie them somewhere. They don't give them food, and they pray over them and use whips to beat them. They're trying to beat out the evil spirits. Now, intense psychotherapy and intense prayers and offerings could work, but you know what? It works because it's intense and it actually boosts it. If it doesn't work, you actually need treatment. Okay, what are the take-home points? I'm just going to be rounding up now. Mental health illness is not due to people being weak alone. This one is just we call them omobota in Nigeria. It just doesn't know how to take things. But mental health is not only due to people being weak. There's actually a disease. There's actually some chemicals that are going wrong. It's not all about evil spirit and how and how well you can pray. Some people say the reason why I don't have mental health is because I can pray well. I don't know. It's possible. It could happen to anyone. You need to watch out that you are not causing imbalance of your hormones due to the things that affect us in this life and the things that we are. Invest in building your social ties. Your social ties. Invest in building your social ties. Because we are immigrants, we do not have that kind of social tie, but we need to invest in what? In this activity of building our social ties. There are some imbalances that do not get sorted by just positive thinking and all that. It needs medication. Now, I'm not also saying that everybody needs medication. I feel that most mental health symptoms, not illnesses, symptoms can be sorted out by motivational speaking, by giving yourself good self-worth, by involving yourself in good religious activities, cultural activities, and good family ties. That's what I believe in. But there are some things that really needs medication. And even these medications, it's not the first one that one uses that helps them. You have to try different ones because they are hormones. Nobody really knows where those hormones are. So for example, the medications we use for depression, do you know what they are called? They are called serotonin reuptake inhibitors. What they do is to increase serotonin. The medication they use for schizophrenia, it inhibits dopamine. That's what it does. And it really works. I've seen patients who are mad, who are being treated, and they are normal and they function to the highest level in their careers. So it should not be a stigma. If you are feeling any of those symptoms, I said do not ignore. Please do not suffer in silence. Speak to someone and take control of your life. As I said, I'm a very big believer in motivation, in encouraging encouraging oneself. What's wrong, encouraging oneself. I'm an author. That's my book on Amazon. It's called Take Charge of Your Life, the ultimate guide to taking control of your life. So I believe in motivation, and I'm also an assistant pastor, so I believe in all that. But there are certain medications that there are certain mental illnesses that need treatment. Do not ignore things. Not feel that you are too big. You are very strong. Anybody can suffer mental health. Suicide is real. Mental health problem is real. Let us make sure we take control of our health. Thank you very much.
Hi, thank you so much. That's amazing. That's really fantastic. Doctor, that's really good, Dr. Oluwatosin Awayemi. This is really, really good. I have benefited a lot looking at all the different chemicals that is working inside my body and getting to understand the causes of the imbalance of these chemicals and what it can actually mean to my mental health. Also, thanks for clarifying the differences between the symptoms and the illnesses. Okay, so we've now come to the end of the presentation and we've got time for questions. So if you want to ask your question verbally, you can put up your hands by using the icon or reaction icon to say just put up your hand, and I'm going to call you. You can unmute and then you can ask your questions. Alternatively, you can type your questions in the chat and then we'll read them out to Dr. Tosin, and then Dr. Tosin can deal with them. I've got with me here my friend Oluwatosin also online. So I'm gonna just allow Oluwatosin to share some comments, and then after he shared his comments, I'm gonna then go straight to picking up some questions and then I would want to get questions from everyone who's online as well. So Oluwatosin, over to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Kofi. It's been once again a fantastic time to hear Dr. Awoyemi speak. The last time he was on the platform as well, he did a fantastic job. He indeed knows his onions, and each time he speaks, is like he should not stop anymore. He just keeps going and on, even though sometimes he speaks he speaks scientifically, but he still breaks it down for everybody to understand. So we thank Dr. Awoyemi for that. We would also like to say a very big thank you to everybody for joining. While we are still getting our questions together, I would like to ask that if you can just type in the chat box where you are listening from. I understand there are people from the UK, there are people from Africa, there are people from America who are actually listening today. So if you would please just tap in the chat box. We just want to know where we are reaching out to and where you are also listening to us from. We also have a Facebook. We have a Facebook page. We have a LinkedIn page. We are on YouTube. We are on social media. I know Dr. Awoyemi mentioned being getting stuck with social media, but at least if you are going to be getting stuck with social media, I get stuck with our content. I get stuck with doctors. So we would have all these videos on Facebook and on YouTube. If you would like to share it with a friend or share it with somebody, you can go ahead and share from our YouTube, and also follow us on LinkedIn, connect with us on Facebook, and we would reach out to you. If you have questions, you can always send it to us, and we will definitely respond.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so first question, Doctor. So for those who are in the United Kingdom, I think we hear a lot about the word section. We hear the word, they said, oh, somebody is sectioned. What does that actually mean? Does that mean that the person has got some mental health symptoms, or the person is mentally or has got a mental health illness?
Okay, thank you very much. So there's a principle that applies to health and treating people in general. It's called the Mental Health Act. So the Mental Health Act states that everybody is free to decide what he wants for his own health. So you can't force anybody to take a treatment. So if I feel that you have a cancer and I say you have a cancer, I say I don't have a cancer, I don't want it treated, I don't have any right to put you under sedation and treat you. So it's a basic human right to say I do not want treatment. However, we know that mental health, some people with severe mental health, so we are talking about schizophrenia, drug abuse, something like that, that has already dissociated the person from thoughts and feelings. Those people have a problem to make that judgment. So if I tell the person that this man, you are bleeding because you have cut yourself like this, but the person has mental health issues. You know what I'm saying? The person has mental health issues. The person can say, I don't want the treatment. But should I leave that person to just decide? No, it might not be in his best interest because he doesn't, you understand? He doesn't know. He's not in tune with life. So that is what sectioning means. Sectioning now means that two doctors who are specialists in mental health issues, or it might not be those people if they are not available, or a senior clinician, will make a judgment that this person has no capability of making an informed decision. Then they will section the person. Section means they have gone against the mental health section, a section in the law, and say, okay, we have to treat you despite you refusing because of your mental problem. So that's what it means by section. So when I section you, I'm saying that I am going to override what you are telling me, your acceptance of treatment, so that I can treat you for a mental health problem. That
Okay.
can mean that we'll detain you. You understand? Because it's wrong for you to detain a patient and treat them. Apart in Nigeria, it's okay, but in the UK, you can't detain someone and treat them. But until they are sectioned, then you can detain them physically and treat them.
Thank you very much. I think that is absolutely important for us to understand, because I think there are a lot of people, because the word section seem to be within the health domain, and so a lot of people outside the health environment haven't necessarily understood the word sectioned, and I think for you to explain it that simple for us is very good. So thank you very much for answering that question for us. I can see that there are other questions that are coming through, so we're going to take them individually. So the first one that I want to take is, I think there's one that's come from Asari Abena, and she says, what would you say when we hear on the news platform to say that a person or an individual is being radicalized? Why is it that sometimes can that be considered as mental health? Because we see this debate all the time. There is a terrorist incident, it happens, and then sometimes we hear that, oh, that person is being radicalized, and it takes a very long time, and that person is judged as just somebody who's been radicalized. But then other times they people come and they say, oh, that person has got mental health issues, and there are so many ways that people look at it. I mean, I've heard some, there are some a whole lot of other things connected to it. Some people have connected race to it. They say, oh, if the person is non-Caucasian, then they always say that is radicalization. If the person is Caucasian, they say, oh, it's mental health. These are challenges that we've got in society. But what do you say?
Okay, so I'll explain it as simple as possible. Now, there is a I told you about what's the name? All the symptoms that you should watch out for mental health problems. Now, there is a symptom called delusion. Delusion means that you believe in something so strongly that it is true, even though other people do not think it's true. Now, delusions could just be that I feel that the government wants to kill me. And everything I see, I just see something on the news and I see that Boris Johnson said something about Russia. And I just say, hey, he says about Russia, but actually he's probably saying to me, he wants to come to my house to kill me. That's a delusion. And that is apparent in schizophrenia. Now, delusions are actually subtle, because sometimes even our religious beliefs could be a delusion. You believe that there is a spirit that comes to you in the night and tells you something. It might be true in your belief, but it could be a delusion. You are probably not seeing anything. It's probably what you have been made to believe from what you have been taught. You know what I'm saying? Let me just give you this example. I'm saying because it's cultural. When I was young, when I was like 7 years old, we started attending a church, and the pastor told us that if you eat in your dream, an evil spirit has entered you. Before that time, I've not eaten in my dream before. I don't even know whether I've ever eaten in my dream. But after he told me this, and he has been saying it over and over. Hello, can you hear me? And he has been saying this thing over and over to us. I started to eat in my dream. And I started being scared. And I had a delusion. And that delusion stayed with me. And it traumatized me. Now, things that people tell you over and over can now become a delusion. Now, radicalization is a delusion. It's a delusion to some people, which it says that you have to do this, you have to destroy these Westerners. And that is the only way that Allah will be happy with you. And then they believe it as a what? Delusion. Now, it could just be that they don't have a mental health problem. It just have like a spiritual, what's the name? A religious basis, like what I have. When someone told me that don't eat, when you eat in dream, you become an it's evil spirit. I won't say that I had mental problem, but I had a delusion, and this person also has a delusion. So radicalization in itself is a delusion. Now, people that have mental health problem are more prone to having delusions. And so people that have mental problems, because they don't have as high intellect, they are easily swayed, they can easily be radicalized by giving or selling to them a delusion. So radicalization in itself is a delusion, but it does not mean that the person has a mental problem. It's only that people that have mental problem can easily be deluded. And when they do that, they do it. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Awoyemi. We have another question here. Says, what do I do if I'm worried about my mental health?
Okay, who was that from? Was that from
That's from
Ayala Prada?
Yes,
Yeah, I think
Manza.
it was saying particularly in Nigeria. Okay.
Yeah,
What do I
he's
do?
from Nigeria. He's listening
Yeah,
from Nigeria,
yes.
but he's
So
asking a
what do I
question.
do if I'm worried? Thank you very much. What do I do if I'm worried about my mental health? So if you are worried about some mental health symptoms, so I separated symptoms from illnesses. So symptoms means you just have these episodes of depression, your mood is not right, you understand, but it's not affecting your day-to-day activity. You are not self-neglecting, you're not suiciding or trying to kill yourself. So when you're having these symptoms of feeling low, feeling hyperactive, or sleeping is becoming a problem, and those issues, the best things to do at those times, probably the first best thing is one, social ties. Social ties. Speaking to people who you know that could help share your burden, that could help give you those things that might actually be troubling you. It could also stem out to your religious affiliates. What are the things that you share as norms? What are your beliefs? You understand? Because everything about us is all about our beliefs. You understand? Who can I talk to about religion or something that can give me a hope beyond what I am experiencing? Then the next thing is professional help. If you don't have this kind of helps, you understand? If I'm worried about something, I have people who I go and meet, and I say, look, I'm worried about this. What do you think? And you understand? And I get good counsel. And that's it. If you don't have all this kind of thing, is to seek professional help. There are counselors, even in Nigeria. I saw there are wonderful counselors. I don't want to start advertising for people, but there's a very wonderful counselor. I know he's very, very good. What's his name again? Oh my God, I've forgotten his name. He has a whole big show, but it's quite good. You understand? There are very, very good mental health counselors in Nigeria. You guys, also here there are good mental health, but actually here it's quite expensive. Actually, it's expensive anyway. You understand? But you need to actually pay and access it. You can get it free on the NHS, but it's actually it can delay a lot. You can wait for like 3 months or something to actually have someone to talk to you for 30 minutes. So I think counseling and all those things. But if you feel that it's now getting so long, it's becoming an illness, speak to a doctor. In Nigeria, speak to a psychiatrist. In the UK, speak to your GP, who can funnel you through the right places to the. But however, do not neglect it. Don't say it will go. Don't say it will go. It will go. It will go. It might not go. You understand? Act on it. Get friends. And that's why in my last part of my presentation, what should we do? Social ties, friends, the people we work with, how they think. Those are the things that affect our judgments. Thank you.
Kofi, are you back? Okay, so I don't think there is any question anymore, but Dr. Awoyemi, if you could just share the picture of your book once again, just in case anybody wants to grab that from Amazon, it would be great.
Okay, thank you. But
So,
is there no other questions there?
no other questions at the moment. Okay. Okay, so there's a question here that says that at what point can the NHS take your children away from you? Okay.
Okay.
At what point can the NHS take your children away from you?
Okay, at what point can
the NHS?
Okay, so what point can the NHS take children away from you? Okay, so I think the answer is it's not actually the NHS, it's a social service. Okay, well, yeah, social service NHS, it's fine. But the point is that they would have to prove, they will have to have proved that the children are in significant harm or neglect. What this means is that they are being physically abused by beating, or they are not being looked after, maybe like leaving them at home and not dressing them up. They are dirty, those kind of things. They are missing school. They are not in school, probably because the person is going to work and does not come early to take the child to school. You get what I'm saying? But before this happens, it will have gone through series of what's the name? Apart from if it is physical abuse, you get what I'm saying? Domestic abuse. But if it's just something suspected, it will go through a lot of meetings, and they will send you to prove this, prove this, prove that, prove this. But yes.
So there's a connecting question that says, is it when you are under treatment for any mental health symptom?
No.
Or only when you are sectioned?
Okay. Mental health in itself is not a reason why they will take children off anybody. It's not possible. In fact, they cannot even use that as a basis, because mental health is a protected characteristics. For example, you can't discriminate against people who have mental health, race, religion. So mental health is a protected character. So they can't do it because of that. However, if they feel that the mental health is making you to neglect or beat the children or this, that is when it is. So it's possible that someone is treated for mental health, when the person is sectioned, but the person is not actually doing anything detrimental to his children. Maybe the partner is also looking after the children. But if the person is the sole carer for the children, and he has a significant mental health problem and is sectioned, of course, if he's sectioned and he needs to be having treatment, the children needs to be somewhere else. If he's coping with the treatment and is better and is fine in himself, then that is not an issue. Do you get what I'm saying? There are many other things to all this I'm saying, but I'm just talking about the general principle. Just because of a mental health problem, social service cannot take children just because of a mental health problem, unless the mental health problem has been proven that it is now beating the children or neglecting the children. So that's the key point, and it has to be proved.
Thank you once again, Dr. Oyemi. We are glad you are able to marshal these points to us today. There's the question from Manza. that talks about opportunities of migrating to the UK. If you can just send us an email or connect with us on Facebook, we would reach out to you and we'll be able to discuss the opportunities that are available with you. We also have webinars that talks about migration, that talks about investment, that talks about a whole lot of other things. So if you would watch out on our social media pages and watch out for our adverts, you will be able to connect with us on a webinar like this, where we'll be able to break down the opportunities and other activities that we are into. Once again, we'd like to say a very big thank you to Dr. Awoyemi. Thank you very much. We thank everybody also joining us from different parts of the world. You are very welcome. Please connect with us on our social media pages. Join us. Let's do some investments together, investing in people's lives, investing in people's and making life better for everybody. I would like to pass it on to Kofi now to just share a little bit more about the youth championships again, because I know you mentioned it earlier, but some people were not on the platform yet. Kofi.
Okay, thanks a lot, Tosin. So we just wanted to share a little bit more about the Youth Champions Network. So essentially what this Youth Champions Network is another arm of settlement support, which basically is targeted towards the youth and run by the youth. So we have said we come in here to share and we come in here to bring ideas, and there are a number of areas that we're dealing with. But then we have also identified that the needs for our youth tend to be a little bit unique. There is a way that youth want to share. There is a unique way that they want to bring their experiences on board. And therefore, the Youth Championships Network is being set up to allow the youth to connect amongst themselves. Now, there are two key elements, if you like. So one of it will be very typical to what we're doing here, sharing knowledge and communicating together. So this basically comes in the form of a network like this. It is an online event, and we call and we invite youth from different parts of the world, especially here in the UK, from the offices and, you know, whatever they are, to come in and share the experience. So that's one key. But also here in Coventry, there is an actual physical network going, where we've started going around a number of organizations and a number of churches, trying to actually get the youth to connect physically and to empower other youth. So essentially, the youth champions allow the youth to reach out to other youth and say, hey, we're all in this particular location. Let's not just stay online. Let us come together and do something together. So that's what we're trying to do within the youth champions area. So if you're a youth and you are not connected to that, please drop a message into the chat box. We'll contact you, or you can still go online to the Facebook page and then drop a message on there on Facebook, on Twitter, or any of our website out there. And we should get in touch with you and put you to make you part of the Youth Champions Network. And then you can use that as a platform to share your own experience as well. So that's what we wanted to say. I think we said at the beginning, and this is just to stress the importance of the Youth Championship. This is new. We've only kicked off the Youth Champions Network in 2022. So it's an area that we see as a strategic area for settlement support. We are wanting this area to grow in the year 2022 and beyond. So I'm inviting you to be part of that Youth Champions Network. Thanks. Okay. So I think Tosin is no more here. So in the absence of any more questions, we would want to be bringing our session to a close. Yes, Musa, we've seen your request. And as Musa has got a request that says that can we get the slides of the mental health from Dr. Awoyemi? So we'll be asking that from Dr. If you drop us your email in the chat, we should be able to get that and email that directly onto you. So we want to say to everyone, thank you so much for attending today. There are names that I recognize, but most importantly, we want to thank Dr. Awoyemi for making time for this session. He's got 3 more sessions in the year 2022 that he's going to be covering. So next time that you hear from us, it might be one of his sessions or it might be one of the other webinar series. So without much ado, I want to say thank you to all and goodbye for today. Goodbye all. Goodbye.